All right, let's get going. Was the meeting posted?
Yes.
Yes. All right, welcome everybody to the December 20th meeting of the Lowell License Commission. First on the agenda.
With respect to the Office of the License Commission, in recent weeks, request of the License Commission ratification, that is that it was a license canceled by the License Commission Office December 7th, a special one-day license for all alcoholic beverages. At the request of the licensee, Natalia Mello of the Holy Ghost Society at Holy Ghost Park, 65 Village Street. This was a license that the License Commission had granted on November 8th for an event of a birthday party scheduled on Saturday, December 8th. It was explained to me in a letter, and a copy of which is the Commission has, in which the party that wished to have the event because of illness requested it be canceled, and respectfully giving the licensee Natalia Mello the benefit of the doubt, accepted that, because in conjunction with that, on the second item of the agenda, there was a new scheduled event in which it was their request, the Holy Ghost Society and Natalia Mello, that license for December 8th be utilized for the meeting, for this event Saturday, December 15th, which was a fundraiser for the Leet family who had been affected, devastated by a loss in a member of their family in a fire very recently up on Back Central Street. Anyways, they had a fundraiser for the person, so the license for that December 15th event was, I explained to Ms. Mello that a new license application would be needed for the event of December 15th. She complied, filed that application. I respectfully asked the License Commission to ratify both items, number 1 and number 2.
Make a motion to ratify items 1 and items 2.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye, so moved.
Commission will now take up an application for a special one-day license application for malt beverage and wine only, or either one. The applicant is Christine Trainer of Aramark for an event at the Allen House, 3 Solomon Way, which is part of the South Campus at UMass Lowell. This being a retirement party for Friday, January 25th, 2013, from 2:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. Is
Christine here?
Ms. Trainer here?
Introduce yourself for the record.
My name is Christine Trainer.
Okay, Christine, and who do you represent?
Aramark
Okay.
for the University of Massachusetts Lowell.
And have you had a license before from this license commission?
We've had special one-day licenses before, yes.
Have you had a license?
Not under my name, no.
Okay. Have you ever had a license in your name?
No.
No. Okay. Just a few general guidelines. The license is in your name. It's not in Aramark's name. It's not in UMass Lowell's name. It's your name. So therefore, you have control of any service of alcohol that night. So I just make sure that you're aware of what's going on. The license is displayed. And if you have any issues, call the UMass Lowell Police or the City of Lowell Police. And that's it. I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to approve?
Seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. So moved. Good luck.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Commission will now open a public hearing on the application by Tremonte Restaurant Group, LLC, Anthony Contarino, the manager of the LLC, for an all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license for premises at 44 Palmer Street and 112 Middle Street, an unnumbered door on the south side of the building, first floor, 1 room for restaurant, bar area, kitchen, there'll be second floor dining room, and the basements for storage. It is requested that Anthony Contarino be approved as the manager of record for Tremonte Restaurant Group, LLC. Tremonte has filed applications for common victular license, and entertainment in a restaurant for live music, disc jockey, and jukebox, and for automatic amusement devices.
This is the representative of Tremonte Group here. You can introduce yourself for the record.
Yes, my name is Anthony Contarino.
Anthony, and will you explain to us what you're going to do?
I don't know if are the plans in there, Ryan? Do you have this copy of the plans with the application?
We have a copy of them.
Yeah. No, I don't want to see it. I just want to make you aware of what we're doing. This is just a bigger set. I don't know if they needed them or not.
We have them, yeah. No,
Okay.
we have them
Okay.
here. So explain to me what you're going to do.
So currently I operate 2 restaurants. One will be 10 years in February. The other one's been open for a year and a half, both located in Woburn. One is Tremonte Restaurant and Bar. It's a 100-seat restaurant, upscale Italian. The other one is the Brickyard Bar, and that's also in Woburn. And that is a 2-floor wood-fired pizza, burger, sandwich salads, appetizers. We're planning on doing the same thing in this location, using the Tremonte name. Second floor entertainment, basically not really. I mean, I'm more food driven.
Well, what does basically not really mean?
Well, we're not going to be focusing on live entertainment 7 nights a week. We're not a bar club. I'm food driven, culinary degree, so I'm more food restaurant wise. We're gonna basically do almost like an upscale ale / stone fired pizza. 24 craft beers, all on draft. We're going to offer something that's nobody else has in New England. We're going to have a 20-seat bar. It's going to be horseshoe shaped. That's in the lounge that was pre-existing. And that is actually going to be, there's going to be 6 inches of ice running all the way across the bar top. That way when you have your beer, it'll be actually sitting on ice to keep your drink cold the whole time you're there. It'll occupy 10 50-inch flat screen TVs. The second floor can also be used for communions, christenings, business meetings. All the TVs in the place will all be USB and Outlook enabled, so they'll be web-based. I think it'll be a great addition. Price point anywhere from $9 to $17 for food, and basically that's about it. And eventually we'd like to seek outdoor seating on that cobblestone sidewalk as well.
Okay. And have you held a liquor license in the
Yes,
entity's name before?
both establishments both have full liquor licenses.
Have you had any issues?
No.
No, okay. As I'm sure you're probably aware, we had an issue at that establishment, or that location. But, that's definitely the heart of downtown Lowell, that area right there. And I'm sure if you provide a good product, you'll excel. But you gotta remember that, we had a restaurant in that general vicinity that came in here and told us about the food, et cetera, and then all of a sudden they changed their business model and it's now a bar. And, we really want to encourage restaurants like what you're going to have. But if you change your business model, I want you to come back here.
Absolutely.
Assuming the license gets approved. But why don't we open up for a public hearing? Is there anyone that wants to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Seeing none, that portion of the hearing is closed. Why don't you come up to the microphone? Can you introduce yourself for the record?
My name's Craig Hickox. I live in Bedford, Mass. I've been to his restaurant in Woburn several times. I didn't know he was here. It's excellent. Has a great reputation. It's really food-oriented. It's like being in the North End. Great Italian food.
Great, thank you. Anyone else to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Seeing none, that portion of the hearing is closed. Anyone to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Seeing none, that portion of the hearing is closed. Commissioner, do you have any comments?
No, just today, I think your intentions seem great, and I wish you the best of luck if
Thank you.
all goes your way.
Well, I think what you have here is a great plan. I'd love to see the ice bar. I think that'll be worth the price of admission. But as we tell every license holder, especially with the dorm downtown now, I hope you attract a lot of UMass Lowell students.
If they're in my price point. To be honest with you, it's been my business model in the past in my places in Woburn. The Brickyard is, the price point is lower. The 20 draft beers, pizza, pizza, beer, automatic. We were attracting a younger clientele, and the way we deterred that was to actually keep the beer prices up, and you don't get the $2, $3 drafts. I know it sounds kind of snobby sometimes, but, $2 drafts bring problems, so.
All right, well, I'm glad that you're aware of that. And, but just keep in mind that if, the university is there, and as you ask other restaurant and bar owners in the city, there are a lot of fake IDs going around and such. And I know your price point's a little higher, so hopefully you won't have that issues, but just make sure you're vigilant. Are all your staff gonna be tips trained?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I got nothing I think it's a great proposal. I think it'd be wonderful to have that intersection of Palmer and Middle looking good again, and I'd support it. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Good luck.
Thank you.
It's got to go to Boston to be approved.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, very nice.
Commission will now open a public hearing on the application by Rosenblum Corporation, Sanjita A. Patel, President, for the transfer of the all-alcoholic beverage packaged goods store license from Ornelas Enterprises, Inc., Teresa Ornelas, President, for premises at 1012 Gorham Street, 2 unnumbered doors, first floor 1 room, 3 rooms for storage, cellar for storage. It is requested that Sanjita Patel be approved as the manager of record from Rosenblum Corporation.
Introduce yourself for the record.
George Theodore, 133 Market Street, representing the petitioner herein. The petition of Rosenblum Corporation, in which we are requesting that Sanjita Patel, who is the sole director shareholder of Rosenblum Corporation, be appointed the manager in this transfer application of Ornelas Liquors, which is an all-alcohol package store license, transferring to Rosenblum's. And just a little bit about Ms. Patel and her husband, Anil. They have invested in this community, having bought the property at 1088 Gorham Street last year, which housed the Rosenblum store. They currently run it as a family business, which is a party supply store, which serves the community in the same manner as Rosenblum Corporation did, selling various party supplies. When this opportunity came up down the street in the neighborhood, they decided to reinvest in the community and are hereby requesting that this board approve this transfer of license, which again, we have one family business, Ornelas Liquors, transferring to another family business who will run it and best serve the community there.
Now, has Ms. Patel had any experience in the service of alcohol?
Yes, I did. My brother has a
If you can just speak into the microphone.
Yes, I do. My brother has a liquor store, and I help him out on weekends sometime.
All right. And how long ago was that?
He has it for last 10 years.
Last 10 years. Okay. And whereabouts?
One in Shirley and one in Hudson.
Okay. And while you were working, you never, were there any stings or any service to underage which you were cited
No.
for? Okay. All right. Let's, and you guys have applied here, you have applied before
For different location.
for a different location?
Right.
Okay. Okay. Let's open it up for a public hearing. Is there anyone that's here to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? Seeing none, that portion of the hearing is closed. Anyone to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? Seeing none, that portion of the hearing is closed. Now, is it your intention to remain at this establishment, or are you going to seek to move it to Rosenblum's?
At this point, we are trying to stay where we are, the 1012 Gorham Street.
Okay, all right. You have any questions?
When you say trying to stay where you are, I mean, are your
The same
intentions-
location is transferring on the same location, existing
Okay,
location.
and that's a long-term goal to remain at the same location?
That future, don't know yet, but
And if I would just add with that is, they plan to remain there at this location and to serve the community there at 1012 Gorham Street. If in the future, the business grows to an extent that they may need to expand, they would consider making a transfer. However, no matter what they would do, that would be left in the hands of the License Commission.
You know, the one thing I'd suggest, just in terms of that, I know you're purchasing the real estate and everything. I happened to go in there one night rather late, and I'd suggest that you just increase the lighting in the parking lot.
Okay.
You know, I think that needs to be done, because it's, the way the Spaghettiville Bridge is there, and it kind of blocks it out, and I just, for your safety,
Sure.
and the safety of your customers, I would suggest that going forward. But the application looks in order. The police department, do we have any issues with Rosenblum's?
No problems, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So everything looks good to me. I'd be in favor of it.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Good luck.
thank you.
It's got to go to Boston before it is approved.
Thanks.
Commission will now take up the matter of an application by the Lowell Post 87 of the Department of Massachusetts, the American Legion, the all-alcoholic beverage club licensee, for premise at 684 Westford Street, for change of manager of record from Dennis Pear to George W. Goodwin of Lowell.
Could you introduce yourself for the record?
Pardon me?
Could you introduce yourself for the record?
George W. Goodwin.
Mr. Goodwin, and who's with you?
Dennis Pear, I'm the present manager.
Okay. Could you just remove your hat, Mr. Pear? Thank you. All right, so, Mr. Goodwin, have you had any experience in managing a club like this?
Well, I've never directly managed any clubs, but I've extensive bartendering work throughout my years.
All right, how long have you been a bartender?
Well, I've been off and on, part-time. I haven't tended bar for quite a few years, but I have extensive experience in working the bars and,
Have you ever been tips trained?
excuse me?
Have you ever been trained in the service of alcohol?
No, I've never taken any bartendering course, no, but throughout my life, I've always worked.
How many members does the American Legion have in Lowell, Post 87?
I don't know, Dennis,
There's over 100.
There's over 100? Okay. And on an average, Friday night, how many people are in the place?
It hasn't been good. It would be 10, 12 people maybe or something like that,
Okay. All right, and what's the age of the members?
60.
All right, and how do you get into the establishment?
You bring a buzzer.
Okay.
We have cards. All the members have cards, but if somebody comes in and they ring the buzzer, we ask them who they are and.
Okay. And do you have to sign in if you're
Yeah,
if you
yes.
bring a guest?
Yes, there's
And
a sign-in book.
who keeps the sign-in book?
We have it behind the bar, and as soon as they come up to the bar, we hand them the book.
All right. And Mr. Goodwin, is it Goodwin? Excuse me. Yeah, if you're appointed manager, how many hours are you gonna work at the establishment?
Well, I'd be planning on being there every day, just checking on, say 2 or 3 hours a day at least, every day.
All right, and how many employees do you guys have?
How many were?
Well, there's probably 10, but it's everybody's part-time. Nobody works there full-time. It's all, everybody's part-time and volunteer. It's hard to,
Have we?
I mean,
have
it's a
we-
veterans club, it's not like
No,
a...
I understand. Have we had any issues with the American Legion?
Not in recent years.
Okay. All right. Or, excuse me, the American Legion. You have any questions? No. Mr. Goodwin, I'm inclined to vote in favor of this, but I just want you to be aware that the buck stops with you there. So if there's any issues whatsoever, whether you're there or not, it comes down on you.
Yes.
Okay? So the guys that are working for you, or girls that are working for, or women that are working for you, you should, make sure that they're trained, that they're keeping the logbook properly, that members are swiping in to the establishment, and, that you rule the place with an iron fist, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor say aye. Aye, so moved. Good luck.
Thank you.
Mr. Pear's still the manager until this gets approved by Boston.
Yeah, how long that'll take approximately?
Well, with probably 6 weeks, I would say.
If, I'll have the papers out tomorrow in the mail, it probably would be, certainly after the first of the year, it would probably be around 3 weeks into the new year, I would think.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice holiday.
So- All right.
Next matter for the License Commission to deal with is an application for a secondhand motor vehicles used car dealer license, Class 2. Application would be for the calendar year 2013, which commences January 2nd. The license application is by Diesel Motor Group LLC. Gregory T. Hickok is the manager of the LLC, as well as Soakline Kin, also manager of the LLC, for premises at 20 Saunders Street, this being an open lot of 7,100 square feet with a one-story building and an office approximately 1,200 square feet. There is conditions with respect to the license that's presently been issued for calendar year 2012, and that is maximum number of vehicles for sale or storage is 12, and there are to be no junk vehicles or parts, no string lights or banners. Presently, the licensee is also the landlord of record, Michael T. Ing, doing business as Tech Hang Used Cars and Repairs. It's a Class 2 license. License number is 700-B. Same premises at 20 Saunders Street. That license is to expire January 1, 2013.
Would you introduce yourself for the record?
Yes.
Would you introduce yourself for the record?
I'm sorry, sir.
State your name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, for the record, my name's Philip Nyman, I'm a lawyer. Mr. Delaney, I'm a lawyer in Lowell, and my office is on Gorham Street. It's a triangular-shaped building across the street from the coffee restaurant and near the Superior Court. And Mr. Occasion, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank you very much. I'll be
Mr. Nyman, before you get going into your spiel here, I just wanted to say on the record that my law office in the past, not me personally, but my law office in the past, has represented the present landlord, Michael Ng, in transactions. We have no financial arrangement with them right now, and I haven't had any dealings with Mr. Ng in the recent past. I just wanted to put that on the record.
Thank you, sir. I haven't had any dealings with Mr. Ng either. I've seen the lease that's been organized. This is a corporation, two gentlemen. Mr. Hickox is the business manager. He's the manager of the LLC. He will not be active in the day-to-day operation of the dealership. Mr. Kinn is 34 years of old. He's a resident of Lowell. Both of these gentlemen have been very active in the real estate business in Lowell. Mr. Kinn is very active in the Cambodian community. This dealership is going to be near the what I grew up as the Washington Park. It's now known as something else, I believe, and it's located on Saunders Street. I've been down, I've looked at the facility. The facility has been refinished, it's been refurbished. It has a clean operation with respect to minor repairs of cars, cleaning vehicles, keeping them clean. There's a fine office in there, computer, bathroom facilities, brand new, painted. The operation has a large yard. There is new signage on the building. There is existing lighting on the building, and the operators intend to change the lighting to increase it and make it better. It's a commercial neighborhood. It's right near Middlesex Street. It's located in the zoning district, authorizing the use for which we are seeking. It has an open area for display of vehicles. It has a ground surface of asphalt and has located on the premises, again, I told you, a suitable office. There is a repair facility. Electrical lighting is being upgraded and improved. Signage is being upgraded and improved. Right now, they've repainted and put new signs on, which are in the same location as prior signs have been on the building. There is a bond being posted with the application. There is a large connection with respect to the Cambodian community. Mr. Kinn is a college graduate. I believe he's a graduate of the Art Institute in Philadelphia. Mr. Hickok is involved in 2 or 3 corporations. He's a bit of an entrepreneur. And the two of them have been involved in numerous real estate transactions in the city of Lowell. They have experience in automobiles. They're using, they will not be junk automobiles. They will be medium-class automobiles, sort of the kind that, maybe someone like Mr. Occasion or yourself would be interested in driving. Nothing fancy, but really good, clean operation. They will be open. Hopefully, they will do a good job. They've never had any problems with law enforcement, and the facility is good, and respectfully, I believe they've complied with all of the regulations. I've looked at the lease. The lease lasts for a whole year. They have an automatic extension of another year with respect to the lease. Their LLC, called Diesel Motor LLC, is in full force and effect with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, having just been founded. I believe I've covered most of the basics, and either myself or my two clients stand ready to answer any questions.
Does Mr. Hickox have any experience in the used car industry?
Mr. Hickox, why don't you answer that question yourself?
Personally, I don't. I have affiliates that have experience with them, and I've used them as mentors of kind of what the market needs right now. So
Okay, how about Mr. Kim?
Yeah, I have a mentor right now that's been, training me and giving me some input in the business itself. And I'm trying to also put my own input, same concept as real estate, buying and selling, but giving, a good service at the same time,
Okay. One of my concerns is the Registry of Motor Vehicles has specific procedures that you must follow in purchasing and selling automobiles, and I am sure Attorney Nyman will instruct you as to how to deal with those, how to deal with your dealer plates, how to inventory vehicles, et cetera. And, that's where used car dealers get in trouble, and that's something that the License Commission doesn't like to see. So just make sure that you're familiar with the rules of the registry, the CMRs, the statutes issued by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Another thing is, I believe the limit on this is 12 cars.
Yes.
If you look, Mr. Nguyen happened to print out the GIS picture from the City of Lowell website, and the current landlord has 29 cars on the property. And, we don't want to see that. If you got 12, keep it to 12, okay?
We've discussed that, Mr. Occasion, and that's one of the reasons why the prior owner has just used it as a junkyard and a storage yard, and my clients do not intend to do that at all.
Okay. Right. And how do you intend to get the used vehicles?
private auction.
Go ahead.
Private auction.
Okay, private auctions, okay. Okay. Right, I don't have any questions. Yeah.
No, my only concern is that you do adhere to the conditions, the maximum number of vehicles, like Commissioner had said. And also, seeing as you don't have any real experience with used motor vehicles or anything of that sort, who's gonna be, obviously gonna be the manager, but is someone else gonna be there to assist you with getting it off the ground?
I know a few people who has, other lots, and, they're good friends of mine too, and, they're gonna help me, train me, they know all the rules and regulations of, buying and selling used vehicles.
I just, like your attorney had said, you're a bit of an entrepreneur, so, don't want you to lose focus on this business.
Yeah,
Put your energy everywhere else and not into this, so,
yeah.
thank you.
I mean, that's what we don't want you to sell a car and the brakes go, and then they're coming back looking for you, and they're coming in here,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
saying, why did you issue these guys a license? And,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
so make sure you follow the rules and regulations.
Sure.
With that, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Seconded, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Happy holiday to everybody.
Happy holidays.
Commission will now take up the matter of an application for secondhand articles and/or clothing for the license period which began May 1st, 2012, to expire April 30th, 2013. The applicant is Dismaili Vargas, to do business as JC Wireless, for premises at 70 Bridge Street.
Introduce yourself for the record.
My name is Desameli Vargas.
Okay. Tell me what you're gonna do, Ms. Vargas.
We intend to buy cell phones and resell them. So like used cell phones, people want to trade in their cell phones or electronics as well.
Have you been involved in this business in the past?
I worked in the Salem flea market, and that's about it.
Are you familiar with the rules and regulations of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts relative to secondhand articles?
Yes, I did read, I've been doing some reading. I intend to call the police department to see what their regulations and rules are as well.
Yeah, no, I know. My concern is, being a victim of people stealing my cell phone a couple of times, is if someone takes my cell phone and brings it into you, what do you do?
We can't sell it for 30 days. We'll hold it. So that way, if the police comes and asks about it, if anything's been reported to the police department, then we'll have it there. We'll hold it. So it won't be sold, until it's cleared.
But you'll take it.
We will, but it will be held. So if the police comes and we have the item, we will definitely give it back.
What type of inventory system do you have? If someone brings in a cell phone, Joe Schmo brings in a cell phone into your establishment,
Well,
what are you gonna do?
we make a copy of their license, and we, have them fill out a form, name, address, phone numbers. We copy their license and we keep it on file. We hold it with the item as well.
Okay.
So we'll have records of who sold the item and what item they sold to us.
Okay. And did you, when you filed your application, did you speak to Mr. Nguyen?
Yes.
Okay. And did he make any suggestions to you?
Suggestions as far as,
Did he ask you to contact the Lowell Police Department?
Yes.
Did you do that?
I did, it was Deb, I have her name, but I didn't speak to anybody.
Okay. Well, my concern, I don't feel comfortable, right now, I don't feel comfortable voting in favor of a license when you haven't talked to the police department. You worked in a flea market, you haven't any experience with more of a retail business as you will here. Bridge Street's a main, street in the city of Lowell, and I hope you would do good business, but to me, you haven't demonstrated that you have an awareness of the rules and regulations of the Commonwealth. So I'd be inclined to continue this to our next hearing, and I want you to talk to the Lowell Police Department, and Captain Webb will give you his information. There's issues in the city of Lowell with people bringing stolen goods to secondhand stores, and I want you to be aware, especially with electronics. I want the city of Lowell and the police department to sit down and speak with you and go over their procedures, go over their logbook, et cetera, okay?
understand.
So I'm not voting no, but I would vote, or I'd make the suggestion that we continue this to the next hearing. I don't know about you.
I also agree with the commissioner. You don't seem I just would feel a little more comfortable if you're a bit more educated as to the business itself and the dangers of,
I
running a
understand.
business such as that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so what we'll do, we haven't scheduled our next meeting yet, but that's later on in the agenda. But we'll put you on for the next hearing, and just sit down with the Lowell Police Department. And it's for our benefit, but it's for your benefit too, because you want to protect yourself. I want you to sit down with them, go over what you need to do, and then we'll reconvene at the next meeting, okay?
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to continue.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 So when do I find out about the next date?
If you stick around for a little while, you'll find out, or you can call Mr. Nguyen tomorrow, and he'll tell you the date.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
All right, good luck.
Commission will now open the matter of a hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, the Superintendent of Police, against the licensee known as Gennario D. Pereira and Son, Inc., doing business as Turcotte Liquors, Gennario D. Pereira, manager of Ruckett, the all-alcoholic beverage package store licensee at 412, 424 Lawrence Street. This is in regards to a alleged violation of Chapter 138, Section 34, sale or delivery of alcohol beverage to a person under 21 years of age, 1 count.
Will you introduce yourself for the record?
Yes, my name is Gennario Pereira. Gennario Pereira D. and Sons Incorporated, doing business at Turcotte Liquors.
How's your mouth? How's your mouth?
Sore.
Sore. All right. So, we missed you at the last meeting.
Yes, I'd like to apologize to the license board for that.
Okay, that's all right. That's why I was asking. I'm just making sure you're all right.
Yeah, I had some
Okay.
bad dental, and I even have a letter here if you, the board would
That's all
like
right.
to see it.
That's all right.
It just exceeded more than what I thought it was gonna be.
That's okay. All right. Do you want the complaint read into the record, or do you waive the reading?
I just waived the meeting.
Okay. Captain Webb, if you could just explain what happened?
Mr. Chairman, on September 14th, detectives assigned to the Special Investigations Section were conducting compliance checks of various liquor establishments in the city. The detectives were assisted by a 20-year-old female who had no identification with her and only had money that had been given to her by the detectives. At 8:55 p.m., the 20-year-old female entered Turcotte Liquors at 412 Lawrence Street and bought a six-pack of an alcoholic beverage named Twisted Tea, and she was not asked for any identification. The female then left the establishment and reported to the detectives. Lieutenant Goldner and Detective Desolitz went into the liquor store and identified the clerk as George Souza, and Mr. Souza admitted that he did not ask the young lady for an ID. Detective Desolitz is here this evening if you'd like to hear from him.
Do you have anything to add?
No, sir. The employee didn't do his job. He will be disciplined in the future with the outcome.
Okay. How long have you been in business, Mr. Pereira?
Just about 28 years.
Okay. And how many times have you been found serving to minors in those 28 years?
I really don't know, maybe three times, 4 times tops.
When was the last time?
I think maybe 3 years ago. I'm not sure.
Have you changed your procedure in selling? Have you made
Yes.
any corrective steps?
All my employees are tip certified. They just made a wrong judgment.
All right. Well, see, these are supposed to be training exercises.
Yes, and this employee, the mistake he made, I mean, he's been working for me for over 14 years.
Okay. Well, these are meant to keep you on your toes. If this is happening when the police go in there one time, then it's got to be happening other times, all right? So
Yes,
you
sir.
really need to increase your awareness and your employees' awareness of asking for ID every time. Do you have any type of scanner or check system on your register?
Yes, we do. We have signs all over. everything is scanned, we have cameras everywhere, just that it was just the wrong judgment at the wrong time.
You have any questions? No. Mr. Nguyen, when was the last, best recollection as to?
2009.
2009, all right. I'm going to recommend a one-day suspension to be held in abeyance for 3 months. I'll make a motion to that effect.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed. So moved. So, one-day suspension, but it's held in abeyance for 3 months. If there's no issues in the next 3 months, it's off the table, okay?
Okay,
All right,
okay, thank you.
welcome.
The next item on the agenda is pertaining to the hearing on the status of manager of record for the licensee known as Camilla LLC, doing business as Reservations. Dolores Cruz, manager of record of the LLC and of the liquor licensee, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 179 Central Street.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Good evening, Michael Talty. I represent Dolores Cruz and George Torres.
Okay,
Dolores Cruz.
okay.
George Torres.
All right. Let me ask you this. Why was there no one here at the last meeting?
If I could answer that question, please. There's been a problem with the establishment receiving mail. That problem was rectified as of today. They've installed a mail slot. The Postal Service wasn't able to deliver mail, and I don't think that they received the notice of that hearing. It was their fault. They should have a way to receive mail. They've corrected it. Mr. Torres, in fact, installed the mail slot, as I said, today.
All right, but this is my concern. Mr. Torres spoke with Mr. Nguyen the day of the hearing and didn't appear. So he knew it was on, and he just didn't appear. I mean, what's the excuse for that? It was the same day. I mean, it was the same day. So I don't know why he didn't come. I mean, that just shows a complete disregard for this board. And that's why we took the action that we did.
And we understand that, and that's why we're here tonight, to rectify that situation. I believe he did appear at one
He did.
point, however. and he regrets not being here before, but we're hoping to move forward, and that's why we filed the application we have tonight.
All right, so the mail slot is installed?
Yes,
You're gonna be able to get mail there?
correct.
Okay, all right. What are the hours again of the establishment?
The hours have changed. It used to be more of a focus on the restaurant end, however, due to economic circumstances and the general climate for restaurants, the hours are no longer during the day. The establishment is strictly open at night, I believe, only on the weekends, in fact, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
It's for,
Yeah, speak in the microphone.
it's open 4 days a week, 16 hours, 13 from Thursday through Sunday.
Thursday through Sunday. And what are your hours?
They usually open around 5, 4 or 5 when he arrives.
4 to 2?
Correct.
Okay. I was just trying to do that. I didn't get the 16 hours. That's what he said 16 hours, right? Okay. All right, that's fine. So 4 to 2. All right. Okay. Well, I know we have another item on the agenda relative to this restaurant, but just, the city's got to be able to get in touch with someone. The phone number has to be on record. Your mailing address at home's got to be on record. We have to be able to get in touch with you. I know that there are other entities within the city of Lowell government that need to get in touch with you, and they're having difficulty doing that. So we need your information, okay? And that goes for all license holders. But, we possess the license, and you don't have it right now, correct?
That's correct.
And I mean, it can't be good not being open.
It's not.
No, okay. Want to move to the next item of the agenda? Want to move on to the next item on the agenda?
The next item on the agenda pertains to an application by the licensee, Camilla LLC, doing business as reservations, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 179 Central, for change of manager record from Dolores Cruz to George Torres of Lowell.
You can reintroduce yourself for the record.
Yes, again, Michael Talty representing Ms. Cruz and Mr. Torres.
Okay.
Dolores Cruz.
Dolores, all right.
George Torres.
All right. So Mr. Torres wants to be the new manager.
That's correct. He's Ms. Cruz's son. He's worked in the bar business before as a bartender. He is tips trained. He's familiar with the business. He has quite a bit of experience, and which should qualify him to transition into the management role.
How long has he been working at reservations?
I believe since the open, correct? Which was about 1.5 years ago, I believe. It was May of last year.
Captain Webb, have you had any dealings with Mr. Torres?
There was some difficulty over the past few months establishing who was actually the manager of the restaurant. Mr. Torres was contacted by Lowell police officers on at least 3 different occasions. On October 26th, Detective Coughlin went to reservations at 179 Central Street in an attempt to serve a notice to appear before the License Commission to Ms. Cruz. Detective Coughlin spoke with Mr. Torres, and he said that he was Ms. Cruz's son and that he was the manager, not his mother. Sergeant Murray also had received information that Ms. Cruz has been out of state for approximately the past year and running another business in Puerto Rico. On April 28th, Mr. Torres identified himself as the acting manager to Officer Pappas when Officer Pappas was at the establishment. And on October 15th, he identified himself as the manager to Lieutenant Hodgson. So we do have some questions as to who was actually running the business for the past year.
I think the one thing that we ask of all license holders in the city is that they're forthright as to what's going on. And, Mr. Torres, right now, the reputation as to your forthrightness, if that's even a word, is not very good. But if this is approved, you'll start with a clean slate. And, you have to be cooperative with the Lowell Police Department. You have to be cooperative with the License Commission. and you have to be cooperative with other entities within the city. It's my understanding that you haven't had your fire inspection for this year. Is that true?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, what's the date today?
Today's the 20th.
Yeah, and the end of the year is in 11 days. Okay. How come the inspection hasn't been done yet?
Well, I was scheduled it for Wednesday, and I had the flu. So I was sick, and I had to reschedule it. I told them to reschedule it today. I didn't get a phone call. They said they were going to be called today.
Okay. Well, this has got to, I'm sure you were ill, but if you're the manager, gonna be the manager, someone's got to be at the place to open it up so the fire department can get in there, okay? There's serious public safety concerns that the fire department can address during their inspection, okay? So they have to get in there, and they got 11 days to do it, and I saw the sign out there that the city is shut down the 24th and 25th, so you got to get it scheduled, okay? So I want you to call tomorrow morning and get it scheduled, and if they don't respond, go down there and talk to them, okay? It's got to be done. Do you have any questions? No. All right. There's two things. One, I'll make a motion to reinstate the license. You know, you guys have addressed the situation that we had a concern with, so it'd be my intention to reinstate the license. So I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. So moved. So you have your license back. All applications for manager has to, all the managers of the proposed applicants have a Corey check, and unfortunately, Mr. Torres hasn't come back yet. There's nothing positive or negative, but it hasn't come back yet. So I'd make a motion that we approve the transfer of manager pending the outcome of Mr. Torres's Corey check.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, all those in favor, say aye. Aye, so moved. So finally, Ms. Cruz, you're the manager.
I am the manager.
Right now, you're the manager.
I am the manager
Okay.
right now.
I want you to call tomorrow morning, and I want you to give Mr. Nguyen your information, how he can get in touch with you.
I believe he has it.
Okay?
We
But I
spoke.
want you to do it tomorrow morning.
No, definitely.
And
Not a
just to
problem.
make sure we have it, okay?
Not a problem.
All right, and I wish you guys,
And can we contact Mr. Nguyen and make sure everything's all set for them to get the physical license back from the police?
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
yes.
All
Yep.
right.
Yep.
The police station.
Are we holding the license right now, the license commissioner?
I have possession of the license for the alcohol beverages.
Oh, Mr. Nguyen does,
Yeah,
okay.
you can come by and pick it up tomorrow.
All right, all right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commission will now open a hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, the superintendent of police, against the licensee known as Beck's Inc., doing business as Brian's Ivy Hall, Kevin Hayhurst, manager, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 74 Merrimack Street, regarding alleged violation of Rule Number 25 of the Rules and Regulations of the License Commission, in which the licensee did not notify the Lowell Police Department immediately after an assault on the licensed premises.
Brian Ivy Hall, yeah? Introduce yourself for the record.
Kevin Hayhurst of Beck's Inc.
Do you want the complaint read into the record?
No, I can waive that.
Okay. Captain Webb, if you could summarize complaint.
Mr. Chairman, on November 25th at 1:21 a.m., Lieutenant Hodgson was on patrol in the downtown area, and he was notified of a past assault at Brian's Ivy Hall by a passerby. Officers Pappas and Perez then located a victim with a head wound on Merrimack Street in front of Brian's Ivy Hall. Officer Pappas spoke with an employee of Brian's Ivy Hall, Matthew Peskovitz, and learned that an altercation had taken place inside the establishment and that the victim had been screaming after he was struck with some type of object. And no notification was made to the police about an altercation or an injured party by any of the staff members at Brian's Ivy Hall in violation of Rule 25 of the License Commission.
Okay.
Officer Pappas and Lieutenant Hodgson are here this evening if you'd like to hear from them.
Okay. What do you have to say, Mr. Hayhurst?
Actually, the passerby that waved them down, the lieutenant, was my employee as it was occurring. And as I was coming through the stairwell, it happened in the common stairwell. It didn't really happen in a licensed establishment anyway. I was coming down the front stairs when it happened. I saw an altercation. I told the door guy, I covered the door, asked him to grab, as the lieutenant was driving by, he waved down the lieutenant. As he waved down the lieutenant, I stayed with the victim that was bleeding. And the door guy, Matthew Peskovitz, he instructed the lieutenant where the people that caused the assault were. So he followed them and made the arrest of the two people. I stood with the victim until Officer Pappas and Perez arrived, and I talked with them and told them exactly what happened. So I don't know where this would be of me not notifying the police. That's exactly what we did. If there's an officer standing next to me, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what we did. I don't know if I'm supposed to call or do something else besides notify the lieutenant as the thing was occurring. That passerby that they interviewed was actually my door guy that waved them down.
Who is the officer that you guys notified?
I believe it was Lieutenant Hodgson.
Is Lieutenant Hodgson? Yeah. Could you come to the microphone? Just introduce yourself for the record.
Lieutenant James Hodgson, Lowell Police Department.
Right. Lieutenant Hodgson, were you notified by a member of Brian's Ivy Hall's employees?
A male flagged me down. I was driving by my cruiser. He did not identify himself by name or where he was employed. He just stated that two males, a white male and a Spanish male, assaulted someone inside the establishment, and he pointed to the direction they were crossing Merrimack Street towards John Street. And then I approached them by John and Lee Street.
Okay. All right, but you're not aware of who the individual was that...
No, like I said, he never identified himself by name and never identified himself as an employee at Brian's Ivy Hall. He just pointed out the two individuals assaulted the victim, and then I went to apprehend them. And just for the record, they were not arrested, the two individuals.
They were not under... Okay. And you didn't see the assault, you just...
No, I learned that later that it was occurred inside the establishment. That's what I was told.
Okay, and who were you told that by?
By Officer Pappas, who went and spoke to the victim and an employee at the Brian's Ivy Hall, the bouncer.
Okay. All right, is Officer Pappas here?
Good evening,
Introduce
ladies
yourself
and
for the
gentlemen.
record.
Yes, Officer Charles S. Papaconstantino. I can spell that if you'd like, but you can also refer to me as Officer Pappas. It's
Well,
much
I
easier.
was saying, did he change his name? Because it's different on different reports.
It's all over the
Okay.
place.
So who did you speak to?
Well, upon arrival, I did hear the radio transmissions. Lieutenant Hodgson was stating that they had a male running from him in that vicinity. Upon my arrival, I first went off with the victim in this incident, who was extremely uncooperative, didn't want help, didn't want medical help, didn't want to tell me anything about what happened. I then relayed that information back to Lieutenant Hodgson, who was across the street and had a suspect stopped and was interviewing him at the time. I relayed that information to Lieutenant Hodgson. He then instructed me to go speak to the, what would you call the doorman or the bouncer, to gain his side of the story and see what happened.
Okay, and what did the bouncer say? Where did he say the altercation occurred?
I talked to Mr. Peskovitz. He said it occurred somewhere in the establishment. He didn't indicate exactly where.
All right, does the city have any questions for the officers or the establishment owner?
No questions.
No? Okay. Is the bouncer here, Mr. Hay? Thank you, Officer Pappas.
You're welcome, sir.
Is the bouncer here that?
No, he's actually working right now, because this time at night doesn't really help us. He's actually down there working.
What about the other employee that you said actually flagged down the officer?
The same guy.
That's the
It was the door guy, yeah. I was there at the incident, and I stayed with the incident. I had him flagged, I had my doorman, because he was close to the street, flagged down the cruiser as it was driving by. It was all happening at the same time. And it didn't even happen in the establishment, it happened in the common hallway. My establishment is restricted to the 3rd floor.
Okay, and the lieutenant wasn't in the vicinity to actually be able to identify the reporting person as the bouncer?
I have no idea where the confusion was. No, I don't know. He was the exact same guy they interviewed as well. The same guy he instructed Officer Pappas to interview was the exact same guy that flagged him down.
Then you couldn't have someone work for him so he could come here and clarify everything?
I probably could have, but I wasn't really sure. To me, it's an incident I reported where someone was, I can say I had like an officer standing next to me. I don't know if I still should have made the phone call. As far as I was concerned, there was officers right there present. Like I didn't think there was, I don't know how, is there a set agenda of how I'm supposed to report this? As far as I'm concerned, I reported it to the officer that was present. And like I said, it wasn't really in my establishment, but we obviously going to take control of the curb and the sidewalk that are right there. And that's what we did.
How long after the alleged assault did you report to the police?
It happened, it was as it happened. That's how they were able to apprehend the people within 100 yards or 50 yards up the street.
The guy hit him over the head with the bottle and ran out the door.
I honestly don't know if it was a bottle or what it was. The guy was definitely bleeding from the head. I stayed with the victim as Officer Pappas pulled up. I was standing right there the entire incident that happened. And in my opinion, it was reported as it happened. Is there a different protocol where I should have made the phone call as well?
I'm just having a hard time understanding exactly what you're trying to clarify. It says that Officer Pappas spoke to the bouncer, and then the bouncer told him it happened in your establishment.
Yeah, it would have happened like in the doorway. My establishment is restricted to the 3rd floor of Bryan's Ivy Hall. It's the 3rd floor. It would have been in a common hallway. So to him, his perception is inside, it would be the doors behind him, referring to the common hallway.
Where do you station your bouncer?
He'd be at the ground floor at 74 Merrimack Street.
Well, if your establishment doesn't start till the 3rd floor, why is the bouncer at the ground floor?
Because right now, there's nothing else in that building, so we card people on their way in. We want to be the first person there to avoid any kind of incident. If we're carding people inside the door or on the 3rd floor, we're going to have to turn people back away that are underage or intoxicated already. We turn them away. Try to stop all the problems there at the street level.
Captain Webb, in regards to Bryan's Ivy Hall, have we had any incidences relative to them not reporting acts that you're aware of in the past?
None come to mind other than the current incident.
And have we had any issues with them relative, well, have they been in violation of any rules and regulations of the License Commission before?
Well, the controversy focused primarily on the sound and the amplification of which there is a regulation to that effect controlling the sound and how it emanates out of a building, particularly if you have entertainment license. Outside of that, nothing comes immediately to mind. I don't believe there is.
Mr. Hayhurst, nothing, right?
No, sound, and that's, we haven't been in front of you guys forever in sound. You know, I try to run a good establishment. I'm there 24/7, you know. Mr. Wynn, I see him, you know, I've got all my stuff already ready for the new year. I've been, you know, I do everything. I was there for that incident. I've been hands-on with everything, so.
You know, I think, you know, I think a good practice is to always call the Lowell Police Department, okay? It's always, no, listen, hear me out, I didn't finish. Don't make any faces until I'm done, all right? I think a good practice is to call the Lowell Police Department, okay? You read the rule. It says failure to notify the Lowell Police Department of a violation of a law, disorder, or disturbance on the licensed premises in violation of Rule 25 of the Rules and Regulations of the License Commission. I mean, failure to notify. You know, I mean, I think you could interpret notifying him as flagging the guy down. I think you could. I think that's something that we're gonna have to address in our revision of the rules and regulations of the License Commission. But I think it's good practice to call. So, I don't know how you feel, Commissioner.
No, I agree entirely. I mean, there obviously is some speculation or question as to, you know, how you can notify the department and whether or not it was your employee. I mean, we're also losing sight of the fact that there was an altercation where someone was struck with a bottle, so this is alarming in itself. There's obviously, and an officer got in a foot chase, you know, another issue. So by the time everything, you know, winded down, these two gentlemen were off in the middle of the street, and enough time had elapsed where another officer had to chase someone. So this is obviously pretty serious, but obviously, from what I understand, no other allegations to this point similar to this, or...
Officer Pappas, could you come up to... In your response to the situation, how were the employees from Brian Divers Hall, were they cooperative with you?
Yes, the gentleman that I spoke with at the door, Mr. Peskovitz, was extremely cooperative.
And do you patrol the downtown regularly?
I do.
Okay, and have you had interaction with Brian's Ivy Hall?
Yes, all the establishments downtown, yes.
All right, and how have their interactions with them? Are they cooperative with you?
They've always been cooperative with me, sir, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Lieutenant Hodgson, if you could come up. I know you frequently patrol the downtown.
Approximately once a month on the downtown patrol.
Okay. And have you had any issues with Brian's Ivy Hall?
No,
No.
not at all.
And any interactions with them, they've been cooperative
I've never had any prior interactions with them
with them?
at all.
Okay, all right. And you were flagged down by someone?
Yes, it was a male, yes.
It was a male. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess, listen, I want you to call in the future, okay? Even if you flag them down, go back up and call them, okay?
Okay.
Make a motion to put it on file.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Commission will now take up the matter of the hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by Kenneth E. LaValle, the Superintendent of Police, against Resendez, Inc., doing business as Red Line Grill and Pub, John M. Resendez, manager, all alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 1018 Gorham Street, regarding alleged violations in regards to Chapter 272, Section 53, Mass General Law, disorderly conduct, Chapter 138, Section 63A, Mass General Law, hindering the investigation of agents of the License Commission, Commonwealth of Massachusetts Regulation 204, CMR 2.05, Section 2, no licensee for the sale of alcohol beverages shall permit any disorder, disturbance, or illegality of any kind to the place in or on the licensed premises. The licensee shall be responsible therefore whether present or not.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name is John Hardigan. I'm an attorney. I have an office here at 97 Central Street, right in Lowell. With me this evening is John Resendez, who he and his wife Martha are the owners of Resendez, Inc.
Do you want the complaint read into the record?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Captain Webb, if you could summarize the complaint.
Mr. Chairman, on November 10th at 2:05 a.m., Officer Vincent Fernandez was dispatched to the Red Line Pub and Grill at 1018 Gorham Street for a large fight. Upon his arrival, Officer Fernandez found a large crowd gathered in the rear parking lot with a fight taking place. The officer attempted to disperse the crowd with the help of Officer Moore, and several more fights broke out. The officers placed 2 of the people who were fighting under arrest and called for additional police assistance. At this point, another fight broke out involving Daniel Souza, who later identified himself as the manager of the bar. Mr. Souza was ordered to cease his actions and disperse, but he failed to do so. Officer Fernandez had to physically restrain Mr. Souza from fighting twice. Mr. Souza was verbally abusive to the officers, and additional police officers were summoned to disperse the crowd. Approximately 15 officers were needed to restore order. Lieutenant Darling was also on scene that evening as the officer in charge. When Lieutenant Darling attempted to speak to Mr. Souza about the disturbance, he was uncooperative. The lieutenant advised Mr. Souza to wait inside the bar until the officers would finish restoring order outside. And when Officer Fernandez and Lieutenant Darling attempted to re-enter the bar to investigate the original disturbance, they were met by Mr. Souza, who blocked their entrance. Mr. Souza directed a loud and obscene tirade at the officers. Mr. Souza had to be ordered to step aside several times before the officers could gain entrance. Mr. Souza continued his tumultuous behavior, hindering the officers' investigation. Due to his refusal to cease his behavior, his fighting in the parking lot, and his hindering of the investigation, he was placed under arrest. Lieutenant Dowling is present this evening if you'd like to hear from him.
Attorney Hardigan.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. With me this evening is Mr. Souza and also Sandra Cavallo, who was the barmaid. I can either call them and have them, or I can summarize what I anticipate to be their testimony, whatever the commission's
Why don't
preference
you summarize what you anticipate to be their testimony? If we have any questions, we'll ask them.
Thank you. The first point, as Captain Webb's recitation provides for, as to the allegation that there was a illegality within the premises, I'm not certain that is factually accurate. I think if you look at Mr. Wynn's letter of December 5th of 2002 notifying the licensees of the allegations, and similar to Captain Webb's recitation, the police were notified, and when they appeared, everyone was outside the premises, and which was in the parking lot. Clearly, our license ends at the premises. We don't have the ability to serve. So I would respectfully suggest what I'd like to do is concentrate my comments on the remaining 2 allegations, which has to do with the disorderly conduct and the failure to investigate. What I'd anticipate Mr. Souza to testify to is that through this process, he's gained an education. I don't think he was fully cognizant of the fact, notwithstanding the fact that he's been in the industry for 8 years, and he's worked for Martha and John Resendez for the last 5 years. I don't think fully understood that the licensed premises is where his obligations end. He literally would be able to put up the storm windows, let the altercation occur outside, and then open up when it's all over. So the first mistake that Mr. Souza made was that when people were pushing and shoving, what he would tell you is that he exited safety of the premises, went outside, and tried to assist people to get into their vehicles and just get out of there. What Mr. Souza will additionally tell you is that when the officers first arrived, it is his memory that he was outside, had an individual patron who he does not know, otherwise he would be here today, but had him from behind holding on to him. His first introduction that evening to the police department was, and understandably so, I'm not suggesting that there wasn't justification, where the officer, because there were no train view hats, train view shirts, and that's what I've encouraged Mr. Resendez to do, and that's the process that we're going to go through. So he walks onto the scene, assumedly the officer, there's commotion going on, sees one individual grabbing the next individual. That, unfortunately for us, was Mr. Souza. Hits him in the head. Mr. Souza will tell you, Mr. Souza, I think, also assumed that he would somehow mythically recognize him as the manager, and he was upset. He was instructed to leave, go to the deck. This establishment, it borders on Gorham Street, and on the back of Gorham Street, it has a little deck, and that's where the second incident took place. Also with us this evening is Ms. Carvalho, and I think what she was here to buttress the testimony. What I anticipate their testimony, in essence, to be is Mr. Souza was on the premise, up on the deck. He goes inside, grabs a cigarette. He's smoking as the police square away the situation outside. At that point, the two officers come up to the premises. Two stay outside. It is their memory that there were either 3 or 4 officers which came onto this small deck. 2 officers stayed with Mr. Souza and Ms. Carvalho, who were outside. 2 others went into the Red Line, which is this establishment, came out, found no other issues. I think what's important to point out, and the inference, I think, is that Mr. Souza was upset. That's one instance. The other is that he was hindering an investigation. I think it's important to point out to the commission that there were no other violations. There's nothing in the report concerning service of minors, overservice, overcrowding, none of that. So I would suggest to the court there's nothing for Mr. Souza to rightfully hinder. There's no investigation to hinder. So I think what we've got here, and again, I'm not suggesting that there's any justification of a license. In essence, Mr. Souza is the guy that should be running the show. He's the one that should remain calm. I'm not suggesting that I'm here to condone or justify what his alleged conduct was, but I think it's important to keep that in context of what his response was. He viewed himself, I'm with you guys. And then, according to Mr. Souza, he gets hit in the head. That's the basis of what I anticipate their testimony to be.
Does the city have any questions for any of the, for the manager?
Yes.
Okay. Who do you want to speak to?
The city would request Mr. Souza.
Okay.
Please come forward.
Introduce yourself for the record.
Mr. Souza, manager of Trainview Pub.
Okay. Could you just speak up, Mr. Souza?
Danny Souza, manager of Redline Pub, Trainview.
Right.
Mr. Souza, on the night of November 10th, 2012, why did you leave the premises?
I was assisting my customers and everybody to leave the parking lot.
Can you just repeat that so we can?
I was trying to help the customers and everybody to get in the parking lot and leave the premises.
And why did you engage in an altercation on November 10th, 2012?
Why would I engage in it? I was just trying to help and calm things down and have everybody leave the premises.
When Officer Fernandez ordered you to back away from the person you were assaulting, did you do so?
Yes, I let him go and I walked inside towards the bar.
Did Officer Fernandez order you to back away from the person you were assaulting twice?
No, he just used obscene language and offered me to go inside.
Yeah. You just got to speak up, Dan, into the microphone. But you can raise the microphone to your mouth if you want. You just got to speak up.
I don't think the commission heard the answer.
Yeah, can you repeat what you said?
I said that I would just, after he told me to go inside, he used obscene language and I just walked inside of the premises.
Once inside the premises, what did you do?
I grabbed a cigarette and I went outside in the porch to smoke a cigarette.
When Lieutenant Dowling approached you, did he order you to allow him to enter the premises?
No, the lieutenant walked right by me.
When in the premises, what did Lieutenant Dowling ask you?
I was outside.
Did you ever go into the premises, Dan?
After this?
With the police?
No, I sat outside in the deck. It's a fairly big deck, so I was outside leaning up against the railing, smoking a cigarette next to my bartender.
On that night, why did you clear your premises?
Because there was an altercation and just trying to get everybody to leave the property without no problems.
Describe the altercation.
Just a couple of men arguing.
How many men?
I don't know, 5.
Describe the altercation.
I just notified to walk outside.
Were there any weapons used?
No, sir.
Were there any items used, such as bottles?
No, sir.
No further questions.
Okay. The deck is the deck part of the licensed premises?
Yes, it is.
It is part of the licensed
Yes.
premises?
It's probably, I would guess, 10 by 30.
Yeah.
It's not a portion that you can see from the street.
Yeah.
It's something where you have to come in. It's I think originally was designed to provide access to the parking area
Parking
which
lot.
serviced it, yeah.
Okay. All right. And, Mr. Souza, you say that you were struck in the head?
Yes, I was.
All right, so there was a fight inside the establishment?
Outside.
Okay. There was an argument that happened in the establishment?
All outside.
All outside. So, how did you become aware of the altercation?
It was 1:30. We don't serve alcohol or nothing after 1:30.
Yeah.
And there was a group of like 3 people trying to come in after 1:30. My doorman, I told him I don't want no one coming in after. We're not serving. There should be no reason why they should come in.
Yeah.
And then they started with some other people that were in the back deck.
Okay, so they were trying to come in the back deck?
Yes.
Okay. And you were stationed at the door?
No, it was inside the bar.
You were inside the bar. So they tried to come in the door, and you told them you got to get out. And what was their response?
My doorman instructed them.
Your doorman instructed them?
Yes.
Okay. So, and he kept them out of the establishment?
Correct.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out how you ended up outside. How were you aware that there was an altercation outside? Did the doorman instruct you? What happened?
Someone had informed me that there was an altercation outside, so I just went outside to make sure everything was all right and make sure my doorman would be all set.
And there was a fight outside?
Altercation.
Okay. And you grabbed somebody to break it up?
When I was off the deck, yes.
Okay. When you're out?
He was engaging in something in front of me. I just grabbed my arms around him to hold him.
Okay. And then what happened?
That's when the officer showed up and I got struck, and then he pushed me and ordered me to go inside.
Okay. All right. And then you went onto the deck. You went inside, got a cigarette, and then went out on the deck.
Correct.
Did the Lowell police try to talk to you?
No.
They never tried to talk to you. Okay. You have any questions?
I'm just concerned as to why you'd become so involved in the altercation itself. I mean, it seems as though the police department arrived there pretty quickly, and I think it's your best bet to obviously call them if there is an altercation.
Yes, we did.
But- Okay,
They were informed. They were called.
I know, but I'm just urging you in the future, maybe become less involved and maybe more observant in order to help them with their investigation rather than possibly hinder it.
Okay.
Lieutenant Dowling, could you come up to the microphone? Could you introduce yourself for the record?
Ed Dowling, Lieutenant with the Lowell Police Department, 31 years.
Okay. And can you tell me what happened that night?
Yes, I can. Officer Hernandez in car number 8 and Jeff Moore in car number 10 were dispatched to the train view for a large fight. Shortly after that, they called for more assistance. As the cruisers arrived, we started getting control of the parking lot. Upon my arrival, I saw 2 individuals in custody and about 50 people in the parking lot yelling, screaming at one another. My attention was then drawn to the deck. There was about 25 people there watching the disturbance. I was then, attention was then noticed he identified himself as a bouncer. His white t-shirt was soaked in blood, sopping wet in blood. So I walked over to him, I asked him if he was okay. We determined it wasn't his blood. He said it was an individual and that the person had left. I then made my way into the bar. As I was walking up the stairs on the deck, I noticed a couple areas of vomit, blood. As I got to the door, there was blood on the door jamb, inside the door, and on the floor, inside and out. I then spoke with the barmaid. She said it was crazy, violent. She was going to call a guy named John. She had 2 children, and it was out of control. She said she was involved in the fight outside. I told her, I go, you know, all you have to do is call the police. You shouldn't be out there fighting. You have no legal authority. As we're having a discussion, I said, I'll need your identification. We also determined that the 2 front doors were locked and the patrons were still inside the bar. Mr. Souza came in, and the first thing he did, started yelling and screaming at everybody to get out. And he's screaming at them. There was still another 20 people in there, which they left. He then went behind the bar, and we started having a conversation, and I pointed to his bouncer, who was soaked in blood. And he goes, I don't give a fuck about him. I said, well, I'm concerned about him. And then he pointed his forehead, he had some scratches. And he had also been involved in the fight in the parking lot. So I told him to relax, and he was rude towards me for no reason at all. We were there to find out what happened. So I told him to stay there, and we'd determine what happened. So we went back out to the parking lot. I met up with Officer Fernandez. He told me that Mr. Souza was involved in a fight with a couple individuals in the parking lot, and that bottles were thrown at the police car. A white bottle, Mike's Lemonade, or a Corona bottle, that type. And a couple bottles were thrown at them. So after we put the people in the police wagon, we got the parking lot empty, there was an accident. We then went in and we were going to have a conversation with Mr. Souza. He was at the top of the stairs, and I said, I'd like to go inside and talk to you about this mess. And he wouldn't move. He blocked the top of the stairs. Eventually, then he said Officer Fernandez hit him. Officer Fernandez reminded him he was involved in a fight. He wasn't wearing any shirt, nothing. It was just another group person in the fight. So then we made our way onto the deck a little bit further, and he was still argumentative. And shortly after that, he was placed under arrest for disorderly conduct for fighting and put in the parking lot. And there was blood. And had we had a chance, we were pointed out there was blood all on the inside of the wall. Something happened inside there. I don't think they were truthful with me. They both said everything happened in the parking lot.
But you did say that the woman you spoke to said that it was crazy. Was she saying it was crazy inside or it was crazy outside?
We didn't clarify that.
Okay. Right. Okay. Does the city have any questions for the lieutenant?
Yes. Lieutenant Downey, could you please describe the locations of the blood and vomit inside?
There was no vomit inside. There was blood on the inside wall by the door. It's blood spatters. It was on the wall and the door.
And in your training and experience as a police officer, what would those blood stains signify?
There was a violent altercation there. There was a splatter. Blood hit the wall and the door.
Lieutenant Dowling, how was the police notified that this incident was occurring at the Trainview pub?
It came into the 911 system. I don't know who called.
How would you describe Mr. Sousa's behavior to the police officers?
He was rude. I thought he was intoxicated.
How do you base that determination?
I could smell it on his breath, his red eyes. His booking sheet would reflect that he was intoxicated.
And in your training and experience, you deemed Mr. Sousa to be intoxicated at the time of your investigation?
Yes, I did.
Could you please describe the events that led to Mr. Sousa's arrest?
It started in the parking lot. I did not witness that. Him fighting in the parking lot, I didn't witness that. And then it's just his behavior on the deck. He refused to help us.
How many times did you order Mr. Sousa to allow you into the premises at that time at the deck?
3 or 4, nicely. He said, let's go inside and talk about this.
And did he refuse the first 3 times?
Yes, he did.
How would you describe his refusal?
He just wasn't moving. He was at the top of the stairs, we're at the bottom. And then slowly, as Officer Fernandez reminded him he was involved in a fight, we moved further onto the deck, but we never made it inside the business with him again. He was arrested on the deck.
In your experience as a police officer, how would you describe the situation at the Trainview pub that night in terms of severity?
It was up there. It took 15, 16 officers to disperse the crowd. They were going back and forth. There was someone violently hurt. The blood was all over that man's shirt. We never found him.
Thank you.
Attorney Hardigan, do you have any questions for the officer?
Just very simply.
If you can just go over to the microphone, just so
Just a couple of questions. Lieutenant, you've had the opportunity to review the police report associated with this incident?
Yes, I did.
All right, and it's fair to say that the description which you relayed to the city solicitor and the board is not generally included in that report, correct?
Yes, it is.
Well, there's no mention of blood inside the establishment or
Yes, it is, sir.
in vomit inside the
The
establishment?
vomit is on the deck. The blood is on the inside wall.
it's the second one.
Could you point that out to me, Lieutenant?
So it's different.
Well, as opposed to taking the commission's time, but I mean, I'm sure the police report speaks for itself.
Which report is this?
This is the report that is attached to the
What's that?
submission to the License Commission.
Right, that's what, but is,
Well, there's other reports.
All right, but this is the only report that, the report that I'm looking at. If there's other reports,
There are.
Senate, I've not seen it. But is it fair to say that the report, and this may be not a fair question if you haven't had an opportunity to review it, but I'd suggest to you that this last paragraph, this portion of the report that primarily relates to the incident on the deck.
I wrote a report on this deck. That's not my name.
Thank you,
So
thank you. But in this report, there's nothing about that.
I didn't read the whole report.
I have nothing further.
yeah, the License Commission today received a report from, the superintendent of police, which has that information in it, but I'm not gonna consider that in any, disciplinary matter because it wasn't provided to the licensee or you as counsel for them. So
Thank you.
I won't personally, I'm not gonna consider that. I don't think it's appropriate not to receive that information. You know, and that's something that we've talked about in the past. We gotta, before we schedule these hearings or, you know, when we get those complaints from the superintendent, we gotta have all of the police reports. It's just, it has to be done. So I'm, you know, and this was emailed, you know, at 9 o'clock on Wednesday night to us. So, you know, we'll deal with that later, but I'm not gonna take it into consideration in the hearing. Is there any other information you want to present, Attorney Hardigan?
I think any other witnesses would be duplicative of what the commission's already heard.
Okay. Do you have any questions for officers or? No? Okay. Mr. Sousa, can I ask you a couple questions? How long have you been the manager of the Trainview Pub?
Off and on about 3 years.
3 years?
Yes.
Okay. And did you receive any training relative to your position as manager?
No, I haven't.
No tip certification?
No.
No. No bartending course?
No.
Who instructed you on how you do your job?
I was taught by a couple of bartenders and management.
Understandably, you were upset being struck that night.
Yes.
Correct. But do do you think your interactions with the police department were appropriate?
I didn't try to make any more damage than what's already been happening, so
Okay.
I was upset, yes.
You were upset?
Yeah, I mean, I did tell them, and they know who I am, they've been there before, so.
All right, but you think that their characterization of your behavior that night is incorrect?
Yes.
I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Commissioner Delaney. But
I'm not really sure what in the past, has there been any other issues there, or?
Well, yeah, what's their current status, Commissioner Wynn?
License Commission, I should say, had a hearing last spring in which a decision was rendered in which there was a 7-day suspension in that decision, 2 of which those days were served by the licensee as closed. There are 5 days now held in abeyance based on that prior complaint, and had primarily to do with the issue at the time was relating to the premises, access, the police having access to the premises, misinterpreting that there was the physical door was not a door for patrons, but a door for service, and it was stemmed from that where the issue of where is the front entrance to the premises.
You know, I think one of my concerns is that there was a major fight there in, I think it was February, that you guys had a big altercation. And now this is, you know, I guess there's an argument, and I understand the argument whether the illegality happened in the establishment or not. You know, there's testimony from the police officer that there was blood on, you know, splattered on the deck and the doorway, you know, which would lead me to believe that there was something violent happened on it. And that's why my first question was, you know, is the deck part of the premises, if there was blood there? You know, so that's, the other concern is that, you know, you just testified that you haven't received any training. I know you've done it for 3 years, but, you know, especially with that big incident we had in February, I would hope that there'd be some, you know, furthering of your responsibility as manager. You know, I understand that you thought you were protecting your patrons by going outside and trying to break up the situation, but 15 officers had to go to your place. And, you know, they could be covering other sectors of the city, and they're at your establishment. You know, there's no allegations of overservice, there's no allegations of, you know, service of minors, I understand that. But, you know, something happened. I feel that something happened.
If I may, Commissioner, I'd also like to add that it's the city's position that the fact that the manager of record at this establishment engaged in a fight without any legal authority to do so, as well as the fact that this is the second incident this year that has involved this establishment, and that there was a major altercation at this establishment involving multiple persons, raises a serious concern as to the management of this establishment. And in addition, the fact that there is no report that the establishment itself contacted the police in regards to the incident that occurred raises serious concerns regarding this establishment. And
That's not alleged in the complaint, though, is it?
No, it is not.
No, okay. And does the police have a record of who called? Do you guys know?
The call was received from a cell phone with a New Hampshire area code.
Okay.
I believe Mr. Souza testified that he instructed the barmaid or the someone to make the call.
Make the call.
In no disrespect to Mr. Nguyen, but the suspension the last time, and I know that because I was here,
Yep.
is a result of the board's determination, and I think fairly so, that they failed to report an incident that occurred on the establishment. Yes, there was an issue with the door, but as the board may remember, I did brought in the code and that sort of stuff, and it was a legal front door. But this instance, so they learned, in essence, they learned from their mistake. They notified as soon as they were required to.
All right. Do you have any suggestions on disciplinary?
No.
No? Okay.
If I may say one more thing, Mr. Occasion. I know we were here 9 months ago.
Yep.
And again, to keep things in context, they've owned the establishment since 2006. They've owned it for 6 years.
Yep.
So just by my quick calculations, that's 2,100 nights they're open. They've had apparently 2 instances. John Resendez and his wife have owned Friends Restaurant, which opened in the late 90s. So that's been, I think, 23 years. So they've had big picture, if you put the Resendez family establishments, I think it compares favorably to any establishment in the city. Last 9 months, no. But over 23 years, yes.
I mean, you make a good point, Attorney Hardigan. But, you know, the scale of the incident that occurred is what's troublesome to me. But, you know, I think I got to digest this information. So my suggestion is that we take it under advisement and think about what needs to go on. And then at the next meeting, we'll make some sort of, and Commissioner Delaney can do the same, think about what needs to be done. I gotta, where you have the 5 days hanging over your head also, that I think I have to digest all this.
Would you require the appearance of the license holder will be notified by mail?
Be notified by mail.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm gonna make a motion that we take it under advisement. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Yep. But just before we close this whole thing up, Mr. Resendez, you gotta talk with him about his actions this night, okay? I'm not, you're the owner, he's the manager. But it's you, I mean, you're the one that's making the money, you're losing the money.
Definitely.
So you gotta make sure you rectify this situation, okay?
Appreciate it. I will.
Thank you.
Okay, with respect to the next item on the agenda regarding the renewal of the 2013 licenses for alcoholic beverages. Licensees for calendar year 2012 were notified by the License Commission Office very end of October, 1st of November, thereabouts, in which they were required by state law to file a renewal application, specifically in accordance with statute, Chapter 138, Section 16A of General Laws, Mass General Laws, where it requires a renewal of license filed during the month of November, and failing to do so, any application after the November 30th would be treated as an application for a new license. So what I've composed or compiled is a list of all of the licensees who filed renewals in the month of November. And now, by virtue of the fact that they do file their renewal in the month of November, they're assured by state law of automatic renewal. However, in issuing licenses for the calendar year 2013, state law also requires that each and every licensee, particularly bars and restaurants, hotels, have a certificate of inspection that's been signed off by the building commissioner, by the fire chief, by the building inspector, and issued to the licensee of record, as well as licensees, bars, restaurants, hotels, to have a liquor liability insurance policies in effect at the time they file their renewal and upon issuance of that license. So there is approximately 65 bars, restaurants, 2 hotels, 21 clubs that are member clubs, and approximately 40 off-premise licensees, retail stores that sell packaged goods, 22 all-alcoholic package store licensees, and 18 beer and wine package store licensees. The package store licensees are not required to have certificates of inspection, nor are they required to have liquor liability insurance. The office is now presently in just about ready to start issuing licenses, but prior to doing so, need assurance that the certificates of inspection have been issued and the licensees have their liquor liability insurance in effect. So I've composed the list, and some blanks are where I have not current information. There is also noted where it's not required as well for the retail stores. Also, with respect to renewals for the on-premise licensees, those that have common Vittler licenses or entertainment license and licenses for automatic amusement device, those are coin-operated devices, they also filed application for their renewals. I report that to the License Commission. Other than the common Vittler, entertainment, automatic amusement device licenses, there's no action the License Commission need take. However, if for chance the licensees who are due to have their licenses issued on or before December 31st for the calendar year 2013 do not meet the code requirement or the liability policy requirement, they will not be issued their license, and they will not be able to serve any alcohol beverages after regular business hours, December 31st, 2012, which expires actually officially January 1, 2 a.m.
Were there any establishments that didn't file their application in the month of November?
Yes, licensee known as Mr. Jalapeno, which was at 124 Merrimack Street, did not file. I don't have it listed.
Okay.
And also a retail store, Mama Jason's, which had been up on Gorham Street, right off the connector coming in, inbound, did not file a renewal. The Brewery Exchange did file a timely renewal application, but circumstances above and beyond the renewal, the business is now closed and will not be taking its license for calendar year 2013.
So are we gonna have hearings, or are they, we don't know if they're reapplying? Let's put it this way, did Mr. Jalapeno apply in the month of December?
No, Mr. Jalapeno is, there was no response from Mr. Jalapeno on notices that were sent about the filing of a renewal at the end of October, 1st of November. I can also say to the board that I had conversation with an individual at the beginning of the week in respect to those premises at 124 Merrimack Street on which there is a new application being prepared for those premises that the License Commission can anticipate receiving on or soon after January 1st for the new year.
And Mama Jason's, no?
Mama Jason's, the owner of the premises, the manager of record, had been ill for some time, this going back in year 2010, or 2011. Actually did not take the license for 2012.
Okay.
And there's now another retail business is located at that site,
Right.
but not a service, not serving alcohol beverages by any means.
Okay. All right.
Those are two immediately come to mind.
Okay. And I just noticed that, just briefly, that some of these liquor liability policies expire. One expires in 2 days. So
right, they're all kind of. This is a kind of a tough time of year in which you anticipate that they're on the phone, contacting their insurance agents to make sure that their policies have been upgraded, updated. These are like continuous policies, but it's only on a it's on a annual basis. And unfortunately, and even though in this requirement of state law that they have liquor liability, when it did take effect approximately 2 years ago, there was no way to control it to say that you were going to have your policy taking effect January 1, expired December 31. So it all comes in like a staggered, you can never be certain if it's going to end in the 1st of January or it's going to end in the middle of the summer, or some other time during the calendar year.
And just one more, I hate to be a pain, but one more question. I noticed some of these are just blank, as it doesn't say not required, it doesn't have a date as in terms of the liquor liability policy.
Because the existing policy that I have on file is expired, date of, it's been expired. I didn't want to, and for example, one of the licensees, the second one on the first page, you'll see that.
So if they're expired,
of the copy of that, what I be asked for each and every licensee, and each and every time I'm dealing with the issuance of their license, and I, respectfully request that they submit them before issuing of licenses. And sometimes what happened, okay, so the point is that the policy that I had on file I received this time last year may have had an expiration in November or maybe October of 2012.
Right.
Now, they have not, no one's contacted them to say, I need an update as of this date.
Okay.
And so I have not contacted them to remind them, oh, I need an update right now, or I need it next week, or by next Thursday.
So when they reapply, when the license holders reapply, they don't have to submit their certificate, their liability binder when they reapply?
That's a valid question in terms of my response to their filing the renewal. In sending out the notices to them to file the renewal, I have in the past notified them to be reminding them of their certificates of inspection and their certificates of liquor liability insurance. And quite frankly, it all becomes trying to get them just to get me to file their renewal application on the alcohol license by November 30th, so we don't have to deal with another issue that's an application for a new license.
Because I think, not this, but I think that our next meeting, we can put it on the agenda to talk about policies that have expired, because like there's an establishment in this room that obviously their license has expired, and it may be it may be up and running right now, but they haven't provided you with the binder.
So
which is what we need.
Here's one possibility that in regards to these policies, and I insist and I deal with it daily, on a daily basis. When they file their policy and it's current and updated, I make sure that the certificate holder, which is a space at the lower left corner of this particular policy page, has it noted that it's City of Lowell License Commission, 375 Merrimack Street. Therefore, if the insurance company, the policy has been canceled, would have cause to notify the certificate holder that the policy's been canceled. I know this from also dealing with used car dealers who will have to have a bond for $25,000 bond. And I was reminded by one of the licensees who was a used car dealer several years ago when I was insisting that I have an update on their bond. The individual explained to me and then made a point of contacting the Registry of Motor Vehicles to underscore his point that it wasn't necessary that the licensees submit a continuous annual bond or proof of bond or its renewal, for the fact that by virtue of their being licensee, if they don't maintain the bond, a notice is sent to the City of Lowell License Commission that the bond will be canceled within 30 days. So I kind of took that as lesson learned.
Okay. Well, that's a good point. I think maybe when we eventually address these new regulations, that's something that we can put in our own regulations, that the establishments Although I'm sure most of them do have the policies in effect, because they respond, but that they at least provide, because I mean, you just call up their insurance company and get a binder, and they can fax it to you, and we throw it in the file, and we have it. I know it's more paperwork, but.
No, and here's the other thing, I was told by one licensee who was a good, honest business person, and I have every reason to trust his comment, and that is, he said, well, my insurance company said that once because the date of renewal was gonna be January 1st.
Right.
He said, well, this is gonna be automatically renewed when the date of January 1, 2013 takes effect.
Right.
But to say to you, I have that physical document that's gonna now have an expiration of January 1st, 2014, I can't give you that.
Right.
That's why I don't have it there.
Yeah, well, and I understand that, and that's, I think, probably how the insurance companies work, but I know that if you're paying for the insurance, you can call up your agent and say, can you send me over a binder that they can forward to us? And at least, if someone comes in and asks if, one of the establishments on this list, is their policy active, we can say, yeah, we have it right here, we have the binder. Not saying that they couldn't cancel their binder after they sent it to us, which I know people do, but at least it protects us.
Okay.
I mean, I think we can address it, we don't have to address that now,
Okay.
just down the road. I think it might be good. But other than that, I think we're in good shape.
I hope so.
For the shape we're in.
Still several more days to go, and issuing of licenses and issues that all of that involve is.
And with the fire inspections, we're in I know a couple of years ago we had some issues, but we're in pretty good shape.
Well, as I've been told by the Office of Developmental Services, the building commissioner, Robert Marsilio, that one of the inspectors from his office was working with fire official, going together, the two individuals going into the various licensed establishments to do their inspections. So in terms of personnel to do this work, and considering that you're looking at about 85, 86 on-premise licensees in the city that have to be inspected, and waiting till the end of the calendar year to do it in order to have this valid certificate issued in time for the new liquor license to be issued for the new year. Coordinating and trying to get scheduling between fire department, developmental services, and then we have heard earlier this evening, one licensee whose business is closed during the day. And, that's an issue the License Commission could easily address in the future. As I was told by one of the investigators from the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission, licensees don't have the right to decide when hours they're gonna operate. I mean, if you're a restaurant and you're licensed as a restaurant, you have hours to operate. If you're not gonna operate those hours, then it's up to the licensing board to change those hours. And that's the situation that can be addressed by the commission. Because a restaurant licensee, they should be open, you would think, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. at minimum.
Right.
All 7 days a week. They have a 7-day license, unless you want to say it's only a 6-day license.
Right.
That type of thing.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. All right, anything else? We're good?
No, on that subject,
All right, good deal.
But then last but not least is,
The meetings?
when do you want to meet again? Do you have I have calendar. I know you guys were thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's one calendar, but that's not what I was really wanting to show you.
Do we have the scheduling of the other boards that are preempt us?
It was just a question of, I had contacted Aaron Clausen from the Office of Developmental Services, who is intricately involved with the scheduling of the offices, the Planning Board, Conservation Commission, and the Zoning Board. He knows their schedule. About a month ago, he provided me with what was proposed to be their meeting schedule. I have not checked with them since, but more or less, you're looking at planning and zoning on a Monday night. You're looking at conservation on a Wednesday night. Planning or zoning may on holidays, legal holidays, those being Mondays, where they might decide to meet on a Thursday of that particular week, depending on how the schedule falls.
All right, well, for the month of January, it looks like the 10th and the 31st would seem to be the most appropriate.
Excuse me.
All right, and
So that would be at 6:30 PM?
6:30 PM. The month of February.
You have a school vacation week that week.
Right, but we can't meet that because the planning board is there anyways. But we also have Valentine's Day on a Thursday night, which I don't know if Mrs. Occasion would be too happy about. But it doesn't make sense to meet the 31st and the 31st and the 7th doesn't make any sense. So I guess it would be the 14th and the 28th. Right? If we're doing the 10th and the 31st.
January 10, January 31.
Right.
February 14, February 28.
Yeah. So then it would be what, the 14th and the 28th of the next month also?
March 14, March 28.
And then I guess it would be the 11th and 25th of April.
April 11th and April 25th.
And then I guess 9th and 23rd of May.
May 9th and May 23rd.
I'm just trying to alternate everyone. And then I guess the 6th and the 20th of June.
June 6, June 20. We have the legal, 4th of July is on the Thursdays.
It is on a Thursday, yeah. And then I say on July, we just do the 18th.
Okay, just the 18th on July?
Yeah. Because I'm sure the folk festival will be one of probably that preceding weekend.
Traditionally, it's the last Saturday, Sunday of the month of July.
So
I think
that way we're not dealing with it on the 25th. Plus, that's Mrs. Occasion's birthday too, so if I get Valentine's Day and her birthday, there might be some issues.
She'd understand.
She'd understand, yeah. And then we could do the 1st and the 15th of August.
Okay.
All of this is always obviously subject to change, but.
Well, respectfully ask if maybe not the 15th.
Okay, that's fine.
If this personal matter.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So what do we say, what'd I say, the?
First.
1st and the 22nd then?
You want to do the 1st and 22nd then? Okay.
September, we don't have much of a choice. It's gotta be the 12th and the 26th.
Okay. September 12 and 26.
Yeah. October, the 10th and the 24th.
October 10th and the 24th.
November, the 7th and the 21st.
When is Thanksgiving? Is that the 28th?
Thanksgiving is the 28th.
28th, okay.
And then the
December,
we'll do December 12th.
5th and 19th, if you wish, or you want to
Well,
do
do you want to do?
one meeting?
Oh, yeah, the 5th and the 19th is fine. I thought we were, yeah, 5th and 19th makes sense, yeah. And then, we're in good shape.
Yeah, well, you want me to give you this calendar? Is that back? Let me just circle these dates. So January 10, 31, February 14th, 28th, March 14 and 28, April 11 and 25, May 6, no, May 9th, 23rd, June 6th, June 20th, 18th, 1, 22nd, September 12th, 26th, and October 10th, 7th, 21, 5, 19.
Maybe
Keep
we'll-
that, Brian, I'll print it
Okay,
out.
perfect.
That's the other board members, so I'll verify, I'll give this to Aaron tomorrow. You can,
Oh,
if you wanna
keep it-
hold
I'll hold
on
on
to
to
it.
it.
I'll give it to Aaron and see
Yeah.
what if it's still okay and
Okay.
no conflicts.
Yeah, it seems like I mean, that is 25 meetings. So I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And, we can always adjust it as need be, so. All right, with that, I wish everyone happy holidays and make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. We'll see you next year.